Hey, it's Josiah Novak, and welcome to the True Transformation Podcast, the top fitness podcast for men who want to get ripped, naturally boost testosterone levels, and use fitness as a tool to not only look and feel better, but improve all areas of life in the process. Welcome to the show. Buckle up. Life moves fast. Let's make it count. Today's podcast is with none other than Chris Pronger, one of the greatest NHL hockey players of all time. For those of you who don't know who Chris Pronger is, he's appeared in the Stanley Cup Finals, which is basically the Super Bowl of hockey, with three different teams, ultimately became world champion with the Anaheim Ducks. And he was the NHL's most valuable player as a defenseman, which, even if you're not a hockey guy, you know, if a guy plays defense and wins the MVP of the whole league, that's a pretty big deal. He did that in the 1999-2000 season. He's also an Olympic gold medalist for Team Canada, which just adds to a long list of achievements that Chris has achieved in his historical NHL career. I would argue that Chris is top 5 all time, definitely the greatest defenseman of all time. But we sit down today for an hour and we talk about Chris's childhood, and also his thoughts around how kids should be ingrained in sports. We talk about his habits and routines that he had early on in his playing career, and then how that evolved as his career matured. We also talk about Chris's post-NHL career life now as an entrepreneur, and some of the things he's passionate about in terms of helping young athletes manage their financial picture more responsibly. So Chris is a dad. He's kind enough to spend an hour of his time with us today. So you guys are going to enjoy this one, even if you're not a hockey fan. If you're just a fan of competitive sports and the mindset that it takes to be great at sports, Chris is your guy. So buckle up, sit back, and enjoy the next hour with Chris Pronger. Before we jump into the interview with Chris, just a heads up, today's podcast is sponsored by our free fasting protocol. You can go download it for free at fastingking.com. That's fastingking.com. You can get a full summer body, lean body, get ripped, burn fat program utilizing what we call power fasting. It's our protocol for guys who enjoy skipping breakfast and losing fat. So go check that out, fastingking.com. Let's jump into the interview with Chris Pronger. I know before I hit record, we were just talking about your knees and how they're healing and how that's going. But for those listening who don't know, you just recently had knee replacement surgery, correct?
I had knee replacement surgery right before Thanksgiving, mid-November. And so I am almost 6 months post-surgery. So, dealing with some pain, range of motion's good where it needs to be, but still swells up. It's probably going to swell up for another 6 months or so, just from use and rehab and things of that nature. But as we say, sometimes you need to turn the page and start working.
Did you have knee issues early on, or was this something?
Growing up, I didn't have a huge burst. I was always steadily growing. So I had a lot of growing pains, was always susceptible to patella tendonitis and actually quad tendonitis more so. And when I started playing pro, first couple of years weren't too bad. But when I got to St. Louis, I used to get a lot of quad tendonitis. I'd have to, put hot packs on, go in the hot tub, put hot packs on, try to warm them up before I went out. I did a lot of, as my career went along, I did a lot of specific knee work and training, trying to get my VMO firing properly and strengthen that to get my kneecap to track properly. Had a lot of kneecap issues, but after every game, after every practice, I iced. I always had 2 bags of ice on my knees. I'd always be doing my media scrums with 2 ice packs on my knees and, all that kind of stuff. And I would ice sometimes before practice just to get rid of some swelling or, get rid of some inflammation, and then rewarm them up, kind of that hot cold treatment. And then during my playing career, I had 3 knee surgeries on my right, 1 on my left. And then post-career, I've had 3 on my right and now the knee replacement. So a lot of issues with my kneecap and just how it was tracking. creating a lot of bone on bone. Had obviously meniscus stuff, but also some chondromalacia underneath my kneecap, and then obviously a lot of arthritis, pretty much in every joint I have. So motion slotion at this stage.
Yeah. So when did you start playing hockey? Was it like out of the womb, basically, or what?
I started playing when I was 5. Learned to skate when I was 4, and then started playing when I was 5.
So it's just a lot of, you started putting wear and tear pretty early on. I guess it makes sense. So, my kids being around that same age now, the best, I guess, start really young and they just never stop.
Yep. That's, not that you're not going to be able to pick it up, but it's easier when you're younger and form the passion for the sport and whatnot. And it's like a foreign language. The earlier you start learning it, the easier it is to pick it up. So not everybody is gifted athletically to skate a certain way or, do certain things. Like, I'm not considered a great skater. I'm a good skater, was a good skater, but I certainly wasn't as proficient as some of the good skaters in the league, where you just kind of look at them and go, man, I wish I could skate like that.
Wait, so were you one of the taller guys in hockey?
Yeah. When I first turned pro, I think I was the 3rd tallest player in the league.
I was going to say, because you're 6'6", right?
Yeah. And
that's like basketball height.
Yeah. By the end of it, I was probably the 50th tallest.
Really?
Yeah. There's, lots of guys in the minors and up that, Chara's 6'9", he'd be the tallest. John Scott was 6'8", Bugard was 6. That's lots insane. Of guys 6'7" now. A lot of goalies 6'7", 6'6". So, there's a lot more players now that are tall and just the natural progression of human growth. We just get bigger and bigger. The average height in the league is, I think, 6'1", maybe 6'1.5" now.
And that doesn't account for being on the skates, right?
No. That's
not like football where they give you an inch, right, for your cleats. Yeah. Like, yeah, he's 6'3", really, he's 6'1".
Yeah. No, it's those are legit heights on your skates. I'd be 6'8" or 6'9" on my skates.
Do not want to be in the way of the train coming down the tracks. Yeah, because you're skating. How fast do those guys go out there, right? Like, it's
25, 30 miles an hour.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ice skating is one of those things. I know how to ice skate because I learned at an early age, but just like, even just going out recreationally and doing it for fun with the kids, I'm like, how do the guys, like, I can't imagine worrying about getting smashed and smashing other people and having to maneuver on a dime. Like, it's absurd, the amount of skill required.
Yeah, I would say it's probably the toughest sport to learn and play. And, just because you're on top of ice with a blade with people trying to hit you. And there's this little black puck that you apparently have to use.
Right. That also hurts, by the way. That thing is like not soft. It's not a tennis ball.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
So were you always the best on the ice growing up, or were you like a late bloomer?
Yeah, no, I was always, one of the best players on the ice, and I just always kept trending, always tried to move up in competition and play against better competition. And, at a young age, I moved up an age group. And then when I started high school in grade 9, I started playing high school hockey. And, we had 19, 20-year-olds on our team. So I was 14 playing against 20-year-olds.
On high school hockey?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
We'd have players that came back from junior and whatnot, and they'd want to finish high school. And,
oh, wow.
You got guys 19, 20 years old on the team. So,
holy crap.
And pretty good players. So you're able to test your mettle in practice against some good players. And then obviously there was a number of those types of players throughout our league. So it was pretty good hockey to learn from, especially, I was fairly tall, but super skinny. And so you got to, from an early age, I was always built that way. You had to learn leverage and learn balance and things of that nature to really make sure that you're going to hit somebody, you're not getting plowed over.
Right.
And I had a bit of a temper.
We'll get to that. I'm saving the good stuff. Yeah, no. So I'm curious though, did your dad and mom, did they support it? Did they get you into sports? Like what was their take on it?
Yeah, no, for sure. Hockey, it's kind of a Canadian thing. It's a winter thing. all our buddies played. We all played from, as I said, the age of 5, when I left home at 15. We'd always play road hockey or at the outdoor rink or at the arena or in our driveway. I played other sports. I still, it baffles my mind, these people that only play one sport. We golfed in the summer. We played baseball in the summer or in the spring. We played volleyball in high school. I played badminton, just always, just trying to be athletic and you use different skills and, work on your hand-eye, doing all these things. I don't know how players and athletes in general, when they become so sports specific at a really young age, they don't learn any of these other sports. And some people are just athletic and they can pick up anything really fast, and others struggle. And I think they struggle because they've never been able to do another sport and they haven't been able to learn muscle memory and things like that, you're recruiting different muscles and different parts of your brain to play different sports.
Yeah. As a dad to young boys who are into sports, I guess sometimes you feel like I don't want to spread them too thin, but at the same time, I want them to try everything because I don't know what they're going to love and I don't know what they're going to be the best at. But when they are really good at something, you're tempted to just be like, okay, let's keep them in year round. But you would suggest give them a chance to do a lot of things. Yeah,
I would say, I think that the people that are sports specific and they make it, they're the outliers. The people that, like Wayne Gretzky played baseball, he played lacrosse, he played hockey. But most people that excel and are really, really good in sport played other sports. Michael Jordan loved golf and, loved doing all this, played baseball and golf. It's just the best players in their respective fields, typically, and almost to a person, played other sports. Tom Brady, another guy, multiple sports. Your body needs a break from that same movement over and over. But B, you also need to just give yourself a break in general. Learn to do something else. Go have fun. Sports has become this alleged money factory. And we forget that it's about having fun and letting kids enjoy themselves and socialize and create new friends and drive and competition and all that kind of stuff. We lose sight of that sometimes. And I hear people all the time saying, my kid's really good. What do you think? And I go, well, how old is he? Well, he's 7. I'm like, dude, seriously? Like, come on. Even when somebody tells me their kid's 13, I'm like, hold on. Has your kid even gone through puberty yet?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
You're not going to know anything until they go through puberty and figure out, are they coordinated? What is their size? But B, what's their passions? That puberty does something to the brain too, where it affects your passion for sport and what your likes and dislikes are. Maybe if it's your son and he likes hockey and you like baseball, you're forcing baseball down his throat, but he likes hockey. I'd coach him in hockey, but I'm like, if you're not having fun, I don't want you playing. You don't have to do this because of me. One year I asked my kid after the season, he didn't look like he was having fun. He looked, he was just kind of fooling around and whatever. I'm like, you don't look like you're having much fun. And he's like, no, not really. I go, well, then don't play. Go play something, but you're going to play something. Go play something else. So he picked up basketball and loved it. Winter sport. And then my older boy quit the next year because he saw how much fun my other son was having. And then he picked it up and loved it. And so, I think a lot of people get stuck in this rut of thinking that they have to do, they need to force their kids to do something. Or let them have fun. As long as they're engaged in sports and athletics and having fun and enjoying themselves, which is what sport is about. Yeah, there's the bigger picture of professional and all that, but that's such a small segment of the population in sports that ultimately it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, it's like the 0.5% of the 1% that ultimately,
if that,
make it. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so, by the way, and then of that 0.5% of the 1%, another 0.25% actually excel and take it to that.
Yeah, actually get paid
high level, get paid well. And, they're not just the one that gets called up and down from the minors and, plays a cup of coffee and has a lot of fun doing it, but they still then got to go get a job and figure life out and do all the rest of that. And it's not as glamorous in that light as it might seem for those on the outside. When you're the person that may have a family and is 28 years old and has young kids, and you get sent up and down, well, yeah, now your wife, your husband they're managing all this stuff and taking care of it all. So it can be not as glamorous and sometimes quite stressful with the up and downs and the trades and, the year-to-year contracts and all that stuff. It can take its toll.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. I mean, I was cut from my middle school baseball team. I think I was 12. Yeah, I got cut and I was devastated. And then I went on to get a college scholarship for baseball because I just loved the sport. I just kept playing, and I hit puberty and I got big.
Yeah.
I was like, so like the kids I see out there in the field, my kids who are, pretty good. My kids are good. They're definitely talented, but I'm like, you guys are so small. Like we don't even know. These kids might be doing something totally different in 10 years. They care less about soccer or baseball or football or whatever we're playing in 10 years. What was it like though when you got drafted? Because you got drafted, I believe, 2nd overall, correct?
Yep. I knew going into the draft or that my draft year, there was obviously a lot of scrutiny. I just love playing though. So I was more focused on winning. We had a good team in juniors, so I was focused on winning and trying to win the Memorial Cup. And I wasn't really that focused on the draft, and you're going to go where you're going to go. I mean, there's nothing you can do about the draft other than play and try to be successful and play on a winning team, because what do people want the most? They want winners.
Right.
When I look back and look at the teams that had the most success, and you can even take pros and use them as an example. When teams win, people want to pick all the players and add them to the row. Well, he's a winner. He's played on a winning team. He knows what it takes, on and on and on. And those guys get probably a little more money than they probably deserve, but they're bid on winners. I wasn't focused on the draft. I was focused on winning and focused on playing and having fun and had a blast. And our coach, Dick Todd in Peterborough, did a great job of, he didn't make me captain. I was assistant captain. He's like, I don't want you to have that pressure. I want you to just be free and play the game. And having had a player that had recently gone through that, where he was supposed to go 1st overall and slipped in the draft to number 4, but I think was the captain, kind of was the golden boy. And I think a little bit of that pressure got to him, where there was a lot of scrutiny, picking his game apart. Is he a good enough skater? Is he this? Is he that? And I think it kind of grinded on him a little bit, and they didn't have as good a team. So, it can go both ways, and it can be a deterrent and a distraction, or it can kind of help galvanize your mindset and just, it all depends on the type of person you are.
What were those early days like in the league? I mean, did you have mentors? Did you have to kind of figure it out as you went along? You didn't have, how old were you? 18?
I was 18. Yeah. No, I had a great mentor in Brad McCrimmon. He was 36.
Holy crap.
Yeah. He had just recently we traded for him from Detroit, where he had just mentored Nick Lidstrom. And then we got him. He now became my mentor. And I think just being able to room with him on the road, sat next to him in the locker room. He was my partner on the ice, and just a lot of interactions and talking about the game, talking about life, talking about what it takes to be a pro, and, just little things and kind of, and not in a pushy way, just like, hey, this is life. This is what it's like in the NHL, and just things like that, where because the league has become a lot different and younger, you don't necessarily get that very often. There's still some guys in the league that are older like that, but not very many. And you need, especially with young players in 18, 19, 20, you need that sage and veteran presence that is going to allow them to kind of been there, done that, and be a guiding influence and force with the younger guys. So it helped me a lot. You grow up fast, living on your own and getting away from home. Fortunate enough, I was moved away from home at 15, so I had already been gone for 3 years. So I had a little learning lessons already, but playing pro was a lot different than going away and playing junior. You are
Yeah, hockey
left.
players.
You are left to your own free will. So not a lot of people checking up on you.
Yeah, hockey players have a little bit of a party animal reputation. I think in comparison to a lot of other sports. I don't know, why is that? Why do the hockey guys get down a little harder, it seems like, than other sports?
I just think guys like going out and having a few beers, and all my buddies growing up, you'd sit around in a garage and have some beer and laugh and tell stories. We still do it.
It's a lifestyle, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of what we do. And I mean, we don't get crazy. We just sit around drinking beer and laughing and having a good time and telling stories. I don't know. I think you got to be a little crazy to play hockey, especially if you play physical and on the edge. You got to have a little bit of a screw loose. But typically, that's how we play. But not typically, that's not how we are off the ice. Most hockey players are pretty down to earth and pretty chill when it comes time to step off the ice. So sometimes the persona on the ice is expected off the ice, and people are pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised.
Yeah, because you were known as like probably one of maybe the all-time most physical player in the history. I mean, at least one of them, I'd say, if not top 5, top 3, maybe.
Yeah, just from a suspension and
the rest didn't like it.
And yeah, I mean, it just, you like to make sure people know that you're going to be out there, and they need to be leery, and you never know what's going to happen. That was something that I learned early on in my junior career, and kind of played that way anyways, but was taught you need to be unpredictable. And that's something that Brad McCrimmon taught me too in Hartford. You got to be unpredictable, and whether you're going to slash a guy, lift his stick, spear him, cross check him, hit him, whatever. They need that little bit of hesitation, and that's all you need, whether it is to recover and be able to defend, or take the puck, or get on the offense. And so when you have that, you get a little bit of room, but you also create that hesitation in your opponent. And there's a lot of times, second half of my career, where guys weren't too excited coming down my side. I was going to get my pound of flesh.
Yeah, I've witnessed some of those hits being a Blackhawks fan, and we definitely saw some of that. Were there unspoken rules though, like kind of like baseball? It's like with the hitting of the guys and stuff like that. I mean, did you have specific guys on the other team that you're like, okay, these guys are off limits, they're the stars, or like they're or was it just free for all? Like, hey, I'm coming after your best guy.
No, but there were certain players you have a modicum of respect for, in the sense that you're not trying to maim them or murder them, but you're playing them hard. I played everybody hard, and then the latter part of Gretzky's career was the early part of my career. You're not out there trying to kill them, but you still got to play hard against them, because same thing with Lemieux, same thing. Like, you respect who they are, you respect their talent, you respect their what they've meant to the game and what they've done in the game, but you also need to play your way and play the game the way you know how to play it, to the best of your abilities. And you need to play that way, otherwise you're not as effective. So you alter it maybe just a touch, but not very much. I tried before, to try to tone it down a notch and play it a little less physical, and in hopes of not hurting myself or giving your body a little bit more time to recover or what have you. And I needed to be all in and focused and excited and adrenaline and all that. I needed it maximum capacity to be effective. And when I tried pulling my foot off the gas just a little bit, it just wasn't there. I couldn't do it. And you also leave yourself susceptible to injury, because you're not going full out, because, so whether it was preseason, regular season, or postseason, I was playing the same way, because I learned. I almost got hurt one time, kind of half-assing it. And I'm like, all right, never again. I'm not doing that. It's not going to end well for anybody.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You put yourself into bad positions. You're not fully engaged, and it just, you got it. For me, I had to be all in. Some guys can do it. Some guys are out there screwing around and warm up and, flipping pucks and doing all that garb and chatting with guys during the game. I'm like, I never got that. I don't know. That's the enemy to me. Like, I never wanted to talk to players. I never wanted to be really buddy and tapping guys in the shin pads. Hey, bud, how you doing? I'm like, no, I'm trying to kill you. Like, no, I'm not going to be talking to you out here. If I'm talking to you, it's not going to be very polite.
Few choice words.
Yes.
What was your game day routine to get in that mindset? Like, what did you have rituals? Did you have special things you did?
I mean, yeah, I guess you could call them quasi rituals. You know, obviously the pregame skate, get in, get prepped, get your sticks cut, get them kind of ready to go, tape them, get them set up, you know, check them in pregame skate, bring them out and kind of get them ready to go and check the flex, make sure they're not going to break, that type of stuff. 15, 20 minute skate. You know, you do a couple things, maybe move the puck around in the power play, get the legs moving, you know, just get a light sweat. You get off.
How far is that from game time?
That's home game is 10:30 ice on home game, 11:30 if you're the road team. So I'd go to the rink at, you know, probably 9.
Okay.
I'd get to the rink at 9, you know, start warming up, you know, maybe get a little bike ride, stretch, tape my sticks, kind of start all the prep work, but not dialed in, just kind of more, you know, zipping the puck around, just feeling it out, make sure your skates are set up, all that kind of stuff. Go have a pregame meal. I always had chicken breast, and then I had a bowl of pasta, and then I had a salad. And then at home, I'd have a couple scoops of vanilla ice cream, go to bed, probably from like 1:30 to 3:30, get up, throw on my suit, snack at home, and then go down to the rink. Usually, the younger I was, I got there probably too early. I'd get there at like 4 for a 7:00 game. It was, you know, as I got older, it was too early. So I typically would get there about 4:30. You know, I just hang out and stretch and, you know, talk to guys, whatever, and then just start getting ready to get the mindset, get ready to play at 5:30 for a 7:00 game. 5:30, we'd have our team meeting. Then, you know, guys would go kick the soccer ball, and I would go ride the bike and kind of get a 10 or 15 minute bike ride in, start stretching, throw my stuff on. I'd always put my right side on before my left, you know, crap like that. And then by the time we're getting ready to go out for warm up, when I'm starting to put my equipment on, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm getting in the zone for warm up. I needed to be in warm up. I needed to just work on, you know, my edges, work on what I needed to do. Maybe, you know, check out a couple guys and give a couple choice words. It's going to be a long night for you, fella. And then get ripping around at about the 5-minute mark, take off from warm up, leave the warm, you know, we go into a little semi suit. I'm probably the second or third shooter, shoot the puck, do a couple laps, get off. I would sit in all my stuff and just take my top half off. I'd leave my skates on. I'd leave everything on and just kind of sit there and just get ready. And just whether I needed to get a meet on or I already had one and I was good to go, or just, you know, whatever, just kind of sit there and relax, not get too amped up, and just calm before the storm.
Did you ever need supplementation, you know, before the game? Like, did you ever, you know, caffeine, that kind of stuff? Or was it just like,
we had a couple of guys that took Agent Orange and took all kinds of shit. I would take 2, 1 or 2 Sudafed, more for my nose, because I'd get my nose would always run or get clogged up. So I'd always take a Sudafed just to unclog me. So I wasn't one of those guys taking 8 or 10 of them. I took 2. 2 Sudafed just to kind of open it up. A couple times I tried Agent Orange and I just about killed somebody. So I was like, I can't do this stuff no more. I was too amped up and too jacked up. I'm like, I'm already ramped up enough. I don't need this stuff to get me going. So oh my goodness, I stayed off that stuff.
Yeah, that stuff will get you wired pretty quick. I guess I would have
a banana in between periods. Or, you know, an orange or banana, typically a banana. Just, I was always one of those guys, you know, some people wouldn't eat from pregame meal at 1:00 till after the game. I'm like, I didn't like being hungry. So I'd always have I'd have a snack at home before a home game or on the road before the bus. And then at the rink, I might have half a bagel or have something. And then, I'd have a banana between periods, and then, just a little bit of fuel, a little bit of something just to tide me over and just get something in my gut.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because, everyone's appetite's a little different, especially when it comes to athletic performance. Like, I know for me, I like to do my athletic stuff on an empty stomach. I feel bogged down, but I need something right after, right? Yeah. Like, I got to refuel quickly.
And some people feel like they're going to throw up. They're like, I can't have anything because I feel like I'm going to throw up. I get, whatever. I have to eat before I work. If I work out, I eat before I work out.
Yeah.
Because I can't be starving. It'll drive me bananas.
Well, the hockey season's 82 games, regular season, right? Then of course, and people don't even realize this. You probably, I don't know, how many games did you average per year with playoffs?
Oh boy. 3 or 4 preseason, if I played the whole year, 82. So you're at 86 plus at least, say you average a second round, probably, close to 100 games.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like, how did you manage that kind of endurance? Because, the only better is baseball, right? Baseball's 162, and then hockey is way more physically demanding than baseball. As
my career went along, I started working out with Charles Poliquin. I had a system put into place. I was on, supplements. I was fish oil and magnesium and all this stuff. And then I had a certain protocol in place for lifts and things like that. And then I would typically, as my career went along, I figured out kind of what I needed. I didn't do a lot of cardio because that was on the ice. I did the odd bike ride, but typically I would lift at least twice a week, where I was lifting for like 45 minutes, but heavy, just to keep my strength. And, in the midst of a season, you're in 3 and 4 nights or 4 and 6 nights, I would still get a lift in, even if it cost me a little bit of energy, because I knew in the long run, I needed that strength. So I was willing to give up a little bit for maybe the next game, but in the long run, it was going to help me over the totality of the season. So I would work out 2 to 3 times, especially at the end of my career when I was in Philly. I really had my system down pat, where I had a squat routine I was doing, and a core routine, and a lift routine, where I was either doing it before practice, after practice, or after games. And I was getting in 3 lifts a week just to maintain my strength and keep that explosiveness and keep that power up. I'm playing 30 minutes tonight. I don't need cardio. Whereas you get the guy that's playing 5 or 10 minutes, they need the cardio. I've played with tons of guys that maybe didn't play 30 minutes, but they might play 20 minutes as a forward. These guys, as you know, everybody's different. These guys would be gaining weight, playing 20 minutes a night. They didn't want to lift. They didn't want to do all that because they were gaining weight. I'm over here shrinking to nothing, playing 30 minutes a night. And I'm just like, I got to lift. I got to eat. I was eating, a ton of calories. Every chance I got, I was trying to eat and train and losing weight. It's just, everybody's body composition is different. Everybody's metabolism is different. So you kind of got to find, it's not a one size fits all. Everybody needs to understand themselves and how their makeup is, and have a little trial and error and figure out what works best for you. Because how I was working out in the end of my career was not how I worked out in the beginning or the middle. You're able to map out, and depending upon where you're playing, your travel schedule and all that, travel in Philly was easy, but travel in Anaheim was terrible. So you're working out at different times. You're trying to map out the travel schedule and the game schedule and your training regimen and trying to fit it all together. So it can be a little, you got to put some effort into mapping it all out.
Yeah. Do you think strength training contributed to you having, more time in your career, or was it something that was just good for your performance more than anything?
Yeah, I think it helped my performance more than anything, but I think it also, the way that I worked out with Charles, typically I was banged up after a season and something was wrong. So I'd spend a month rehabbing, shoulder, you're doing rotator cuff stuff and you're doing all this, lightweight stuff that people are looking at you in the gym going, seriously? But you're rehabbing all your injuries and you're trying to get your body back to base so that when you start lifting, you're not compensating. As you know, it was all about form and function and as you're going, ramping it up 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds, like just any little gain. And so by the first couple of years after I started training with him, I saw a huge difference in my strength and my power. I was literally picking guys up off the ice in training camp and just kind of tossing them.
Wow.
And so, when you see the results like that after a season or two of training with somebody, you get pretty good buy-in right off the bat. And then I did that for another 10 years, and then I had everything. And then I was, I had to change things a little bit because my body was changing because of age, and the league was changing, and I didn't need to be as big, but I needed to be faster. And so things, you just got to alter what you do, and you keep parts of the exercises that you like and the things that you can do. And then you supplement in, maybe it's a little bit more cardio, maybe it's a little bit more quick feet stuff and things of that nature. So I never did quick feet stuff at the beginning of my career. And then by the middle of it, I did a lot of it. You need to adapt and add things to your repertoire that are going to allow you to have sustainable success.
Yeah, no, it's like periodization, right? I mean, Poliquin's one of the greatest of all time in that department. When did you start training with him? Was it before your MVP?
Oh, yeah. It was 95, 96, 97.
Oh, so like a couple of years before.
Yeah. I started working with 97. So I walked in and met him at Mckinnis's house. And I walked in the front door and he was standing over here in the office. I walked towards him. He's like, here, walk towards me. It's like 4 or 5 steps. He goes, your left knee sore? I go, yeah. He goes, your left shoulder sore? I go, yeah. He goes, let me look at it. He's like, yeah, you got a bad rotator cuff. Let me feel your knee. Yeah, we can fix that. We got to get your VMO firing. We got to do. He just categorized all the things that I needed to fix. Spent a month working on that stuff, getting everything back into alignment, getting my back, my hips, my legs, my knees, and then started lifting more, teaching me the proper lifts and the form and all that. I mean, I'm like, well, these weights they're nothing. Well, when I was doing it in the proper form, like it was friggin' hard. I was like, holy shit, I was sweating. I don't sweat very much. I was sweating. I was like, and everything is done to a cadence. Everything's done to a time, 60 seconds for high rep, 90 seconds for low rep, and I'm just like, you don't realize how much time, when you're not paying attention to the time, how much rest time you actually take.
Oh,
maybe have a conversation. Maybe if it says 60 seconds, he'd be like, okay, you're up. And I'm like, already? He's like, you're up. And he'd be like, now you got to go. And I'm like, okay. And I do my thing. And after doing that for a year or two, you get accustomed to knowing the time. And I'd be standing there just catching some water and catching my breath. And I'd just go, okay, it's got to be close. And I'd look and it'd be like 2 seconds. Okay. Then I go right over to the spot, start doing my exercise again. So I still train that way, to a cadence, to the rep ranges and timing and all that stuff. It's become a habit, but it's because it works.
Totally. Yeah. It keeps your workouts more effective. And I would argue prevents injury for a lot of guys, right? Because you rest all day.
Bananas in a gym, watching people work out. I'm like, oh my God, why are you even in here? Stop wasting your time. You're not getting anything out of this.
Yeah, doing 3 sets in like 30 minutes. Yeah, no, that's exactly how it is. And when you time your rest period, you really start to realize, hey, I don't need these crazy heavy weights.
Yeah,
the time under tension is doing all the work for me now.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's epic.
Or taking 10 minutes between exercises. Because you got to now, I got to get over here. I got to do this. No, you got to get moving. You get a minute and a half to get all your crap and get going.
Yep. Yeah, no, it makes it when people say they don't have time to work out, I say, you do. You're just not timing your workouts.
Not managing it properly.
Right. your rest time is probably 8 minutes between sets.
Yeah.
When you have time.
Yeah.
What was your favorite moment as a hockey player? What was it? The MVP, winning the Stanley Cup? What was your favorite?
Yeah, I would say the Stanley Cup. Just it's what I grew up wanting to do, and it's the ultimate trophy in pro sports. It takes 10 months of blood, sweat, and tears with a group of players, staff, management, ownership, to all be on the same page, to all have that same goal, be willing to sacrifice to attain it. Close second is the Olympic gold medal, but the difference is it's different because you get a group of players that go together for 2 weeks and then they win. And then you go back to trying to kill each other. Whereas you're with a team for 10 months with a goal and a mindset, and some players unfortunately come in and come out, but for the most part, it's the same team. And a lot of times it's the same players year after year, and you finally attain this goal. It's pretty special. And, it took me, I was 32, I think. Yeah, I was 32. So it took me 13 years to get it. And then the year before, when I was in Edmonton, we went to the finals, lost in a game 7. So to go back the next year in Anaheim and win it was a relief and pretty special at the same time.
What's that feeling like when the time is expired and you're like, holy shit? Did you kind of know it was going to happen? And you're like,
luckily for us, we were winning 6-2. So it was, the ending was, maybe 5 minutes to go in the game. We knew we were going to win, but that was almost sweeter, is that you could enjoy taking things in and you could kind of relax a little and enjoy the crowd. It was at home. Fans were buzzing in anticipation of seeing the cup and seeing everything come together. So it was a lot of fun. You start getting goosebumps and butterflies, and the juices get going, knowing what's about to happen. So it was pretty cool.
That's amazing. So now that you're post hockey and you have kids, you have new ventures and stuff like that, what are some of the habits and routines that you had as a hockey player, things that you took away from that career that you apply now?
First and foremost is structure. Everything was always detailed, and you got to be at the rink. You run on a time clock. You're like, you got to be here. You got to be here. You got to be here. And I think most former athletes that struggle, they get out of a routine. They don't set their alarm clock to get up to work out. They just kind of get up and, have no plan for the day. And typically you had a plan every single day other than an off day. But even then you're probably like, oh, I got to go do this. I got to do that. I got to, spend your day running errands to do the things that you weren't able to do the last week. Having that structure and a plan in place of, okay, I'm going to work out from 8 to 9 every day, and I'm going to, do X, Y, Z, and to map out your day. And I guess we could call it time blocking, and just say at this specific time, I'm doing this. And you got it. And then you hold yourself accountable to, I'm doing this. I play with guys that are like, I've worked out, for 20 years and I don't want to work out anymore. And those are the guys that weigh 350 pounds.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh my God, who is that? Because they look totally different. And you know what? To each their own. But you always hear people kind of tell you when you're doing marketing deals or you're doing interviews or you're meeting people, they need to know who it is. They need to recognize you. So if you put on another 100 pounds, they're going to go, who is this guy? You got to look the part. So, and I've never been that heavy. I mean, the most I've ever been is what I am now, 240. So I think it's just my body composition and kind of the way I hold my weight versus this is as heavy as I want to get, just from a health perspective, but more from a getting around and carrying the weight. It's just, 225 to 230 is probably the ideal for me. And having a plan in place, now that, as we talked about at the top, now that I kind of got my knee fixed during the middle of COVID, I was working out 6 days a week. And one day I was doing split squat, Bulgarian split squats. And I heard a crunch, and I was like, being the stubborn, hard-headed man I am, I was like, I'm near the end of my workout. I'm just going to finish. So I kept going, and I'm like, grinding. And then my knee blew up and I'm like, oh, that was basically the end of it. I got knee surgery and they pulled out all kinds of chunks and it was never the same after that. And then when I went in to get this fixed and get it replaced, I was at a charity function and I was standing on a hardwood floor and just standing there was aching. And just standing there, anytime I was going to move quickly or just kind of turn, wincing pain. And I was like, I just called my doc. I'm like, it's time. Let's do this. 2 weeks. Let's get it done. And when he went in there to do it, there was so much damage and scar tissue. And I had my ACL done on that knee. There was scar tissue all over my ACL and arthritis. I mean, he's like, it took me 30 minutes to just clean it out.
Oh my goodness.
Just to get it all clean. So it was time. There was a lot of wear and tear on it and kind of is what it is now.
Sure. What are you pouring energy into these days? What are you passionate about right now?
Our business, Well Inspired Travels, boutique luxury travel company, caters to athletes, entertainers, CEOs, business owners, high net worth family offices to, really curate travel experiences that fit exactly what people are looking for. Most people don't know what they want. They can kind of describe it and talk about it, but they don't know where it is and where they want to go. Sure. And so in having conversations with people and open dialogue and talking to them about what hotel properties or brands they like, where they've stayed in the past, what they haven't liked, destinations, and are they adventurous? Are they foodies? Are they interested in language and history? And really try to peel back the onion layer to really get to understand them a little bit better and learn more about them. And it's been a lot of fun learning and talking to people and getting to know people much better, much more personal level. And that's probably the best part about the job is having that connection with people and then seeing them go on these travel experiences and coming back and go, and learning about what they did and hearing about the times that they had. And it's very fulfilling.
That's epic. Yeah. It sounds like, I don't know if I want my wife to hear about that.
Yeah. And then that, and, recently, I joined Twitter in, January of 2022.
Yeah. You might be my new favorite Twitter account, man. Your threads are freaking nuts.
Yeah. Just started firing off a few threads, courtesy of my buddy Sam Parr. He's been helping me curate them and kind of weed through the ideology and maybe the thought process behind some of them. And, they've garnered some pretty good traction and opened up a lot of eyes. I've talked to a lot of people since posting some of them that, not enough knowledge or not enough conversation has been given to the athlete space as it relates to money and finances and things of that nature. And so for me, I don't give a shit.
Sure.
Never have, never will. I'll piss people off, but I made the same mistakes in a lot of the tweets that I've put out there. I've made a lot of those same mistakes. And fortunate enough for me, I was able to out-earn a lot of the mistakes and kind of come out on the other side. And, I think a lot of people think I'm whining, think I'm complaining, which I'm not, because I'm not speaking to them. I'm actually speaking to the athlete, but allowing the layperson to, step inside and see what it's like and feel like they're a part of it.
Sure.
But most athletes do not make that much money in the long run. And in the general sense of you're 21 years old and you play 4 years and you make $750,000 a year. Well, you're not making $750,000 a year.
Right.
And oh, by the way, you don't think your career is going to be done at 25. So you're not really saving and you're investing in yourself. You're hiring a trainer, you're hiring, maybe not hiring a chef, but you're buying expensive food and supplements and all. The team doesn't pay for that stuff. You have to pay for it. I think people think the team pays for everything, which they don't. They pay you so that you can buy it.
Yeah, the team takes care of your taxes and everything, right? They just do it all.
Yeah. You got to pay taxes. You got to do all this stuff. A normal car, unbeknownst to people in the real world, A normal car is 50 grand. I'm sorry. But every car that I pass in the street is 50 grand.
Totally.
So people, I don't think have an understanding, you don't have to buy a brand new car. Let's say buy a 2-year-old used car. Maybe it's 40, whatever. It's still a lot of money.
Totally.
And post-tax, that's 80.
Yep.
You're spending 80 grand of that 750. By the way, the escrow and the taxes and all the agent's fees and all the stuff that comes off, there's not a whole lot left to invest outside of, throwing a couple $100,000 into a, whatever fund or what have you. And if you make one mistake, it's gone. And by the way, you're in the middle of a financial meltdown, or you're in the middle, all the different things that can happen.
Sure.
Now you're 25, you're probably a little beat up from sports, and maybe not worldly in the sense of financial management and what have you. You never thought at the age of 25 or 26, you're going to be done looking for a job going, okay, what's next? I always thought I was going to be a football player, baseball player, hockey player, whatever. It can be rather daunting. And at that young age going, okay, what's next? When all they've known is one thing, and that's the sport. So it more or less trying to open up their eyes and their minds more so to long-term thinking and taking care of themselves and taking care of their money better than you don't need the $400,000 chain and the rings and the whatever. And you don't need the Ferraris and the Bentleys when you're a rookie. Yeah. If you're Kevin Durant or you're Shaq or you're Kobe, yeah, go ahead. Feel free. But when you're first starting your career, for free. yeah, exactly. When you're first starting your career, you have to be very cognizant of where you're putting your money and what you're doing with your money, because at that stage, it is so incredibly valuable to be investing versus, going out and, spending $4,000 on dinner and buying everybody dinner and drinks, or going to, buy a new car or buy a boat or buy a house you're going to run into problems real fast. Because A, those things are expensive, and B, you haven't made that much yet.
Yeah, you're spending money you haven't earned yet.
Yeah, or you're going into, and by the way, you only get paid during the regular season time frame. So now you got to pay for your living expenses the other 7 months of the year. So cash flow and cash management is also a function of those checks as well. So and you learn really, really fast. And a lot of times people don't have good people around them. They've got the back patters telling them, yeah, let's go spend that money. Let's go have some fun.
Yeah, let's go on the trips.
And you never think it's going to end. And you never think it's been interesting. I've talked to a lot of cool people, a lot of good people that have athletes' best interests at heart. So hopefully been working on a few things, and we'll see what comes out of the fray. But at least keep the conversation going, and hopefully impart a small amount of wisdom on some players out there that can take care of it.
Yeah, I would say even for the common person on Twitter, that this stuff is really valuable. We, as a society, we just hate talking about money, right? I mean, we don't do it in schools. Right? Yeah. Kids, I'm putting my kids through a summer business course that I'm creating myself this summer about cash flow and cost of goods and services and all this stuff. But this stuff isn't taught in schools, and I think athletes are different. Yeah, it's criminal, to be honest. Yeah. And I would argue it's probably done on purpose. We'll be careful not to get canceled on our show here, but I would argue that it's by design, right? Like the less I know, the easier I am to control. And it's, athlete. I mean, heck, even a young guy who comes out of school, starts an online business, makes $500,000 in his first year. You're like, holy shit, man. Like, this is insane. What do I do? I'm going to start popping bottles. I'm going to start doing this, that, buying a house, because that's what everybody else is doing, supposedly. Yeah. But everybody else is broke.
He's only done it once. He's only done it once. And that business can go to shit the next year.
100%. Yeah. You got to stack.
The issue becomes, you think it's in perpetuity. You think you're always going to have it. And when you're young, you don't realize, okay, after this contract's up, you might not get another one. You might not be good enough. You might get hurt. You might get, there's all these intangibles that may happen. And when you're starting, you don't want to think about the end because you're just starting.
Yeah.
But it's something that you have to at least have a little birdie over here telling you, okay, if it's over, what do we do? And it's hard to grasp, and it's hard.
Yeah, I think coming from someone like yourself, though, who's obviously you have a track record of success both in the sport and outside of the sport. Family man, I think the transparent conversations need to happen. Because like I said, it'll benefit tons of athletes, I'm sure, but it'll also benefit a lot of people just watching from the sideline. Like, oh man, I need to be more in tune with what I'm doing with my money too. And it's this huge conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping it doesn't go away. That's the goal, is that it continues and we're able to, find some traction with it and keep it out in the forefront.
Sure. Well, Chris, man, I know your time's valuable. I appreciate you taking an hour. I really enjoy you as a person, man. And I enjoyed watching my Blackhawks beat you back in the day. A little bit. I had to get a little jab in. But no, man, it's always a pleasure getting to interact with you, and I appreciate you doing it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome, brother.
Thanks for listening to the True Transformation podcast.
Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Come back next time.